Comments, starting with you, Koki, on what has been happening, and this is to do with threats. We have one, Linus Kaikai, who made some comments, and we have Pastor Nganga, who made some threatening remarks. He's been arrested, but generally not just looking at that case in, just focusing on that, but also generally in our line of business. Sometimes we get threatened, sometimes we get situations that are dangerous. How to deal with them?
Media of late, the world over, is dangerous because nobody wants you to really probe into their business. It appears as if, people, talking about issues and having the public respond to them is quite threatening to maybe those who are perpetrators of any kind of crime. Again, most of the people who are being reported on are losing, I was telling my class, they're losing self-esteem, and esteem for them is something that they've built over the times. So, of course, the journalist would be the easiest target to threaten and to make sure that they don't water down their reputation. So far. Okay. But what I like is that the police, I think Linus took action and reported the issue, and of course the pastor has a case to answer. These are not the days where you could just throw threats around and it would just go unchecked.
And that's the thing, if he had been silent, if he had not said anything about it, then he could have gone scot-free, because we had an age and time where with a threat like that you would basically play it down, but who knows how far that threat will go.
Oh, today everyone is afraid of threats. I think since the time the women were fighting on SMS and you'd find yourself in court, I think it's no longer a joke. People are like, you have to be careful, because now things like deaths, threats to personal life is real. It's not real. Like a long time you make a threat and people just laugh it off. No. Today, if you get a threat, you need to take it seriously.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, Brian, coming to you, in your line of duty, you do a lot of investigative pieces. Are there times you felt possibly your life is at risk or have even been threatened?
Well, when we covered some story on NHIF last year, someone dropped some piece of letter beneath my door. I never even told my editors, because I felt like they'll think something really big is happening, because personally I don't believe in threats. If someone wants to do something to you, they wouldn't even want to expose themselves. They're only playing around with their egos. When that letter was being dropped there at my home, that was just a few days after DCI, an investigating officer, was met along Thika Road, and some two people allegedly on motorbikes had tried to threaten them over what was going on at the NHIF at the time. And the words used in the two messages were the same, that, see, this is an institution. It's not about an individual. That was when we were smoking out the fictitious claims that the NHIF was making through some private hospitals. So I believe with threats, something about threats is that someone who wants to do anything to you will not want even to expose themselves.
But surely we can't take threats lightly, because
we cannot.
You cannot tell who is threatening and who is actually making a point, and they will follow it through.
I understand. We cannot. We should not. In fact, there shouldn't be any reason for anybody to threaten the other. If someone is saying something you don't like, take them to court. Simple.
The simple and straightforward. Koki, your thoughts on how we should deal with threats when we are dealing with some very sensitive issues? Right now, we are following up on billions of fake currency, which, by the way, so far we have not identified or seen physically. So that is still in question, but definitely would have something that would leave us wondering. So your thoughts on that?
I think stories need to be told, I know. Precautions need to be undertaken. Facts need to be verified. So that when you're giving out that story, it is really something that is tangible. It's not something that will cause you to receive notes like him at his place. Personally, I would relocate from that estate. I think that.
But isn't that playing into the threats of those? Because how long are you going to move? When you move, they'll still move.
No, investigative journalism all over the world just puts you at risk. and putting you at risk means that you might not live another day to tell the story. So I know he's probably young and courageous and probably doesn't have much to lose. But we are saying we need to know that if somebody has ill intentions, that is something that can be reported and is a crime. But journalism has to go on, stories have to be told, and as we go along, like I told you, we need to know what maybe the elite involved are losing, and if they are losing that, then what would they go, how far would they go to kind of keep their esteem in place?
All right, and in terms of support, what is it that we should expect, especially from our media houses? It would be impossible to expect that they're going to give you firearms and bodyguards and all that, but there should be some level of support in terms of your safety.
Yeah, I think basically the media house, one of the things it should do is legal support for its journalists if anything should happen. I see nowadays the journalists are well adorned when they go out.
At least there's some protective
Yes, that is
gear.
very nice. You see the protective. It looks a bit militant, but at least there's protective gear. But one of the things that I think is most important is education, that your security starts with you, and that I don't know whether to say this because I heard Joe Cathy saying it, no story is worth dying for.
Right.
But at the end of the day, a story can be told, even if it is in piecemeal, and it becomes less threatening to tell the story in piecemeal. Follow-up stories can always expose what you intended initially.
Okay, yeah. And I just want to maybe just get your thoughts before we go to matters drought. Brian, do you feel supported when it comes to your protection as a journalist?
Mike, there can never be support on matters of security in whatever profession. We've had members of parliament assassinated at the heart of the city with their bodyguards. There can't be support that is given to give you security as a journalist, and in this case, as a journalist, so to speak. The only thing I would say is that there shouldn't be any reason in this current time we live in. There should be no reason for anybody to be threatened or to fear for their life for whatever reason. But to say that someone needs security for their life, for the stories they are telling, it's a whole lie, because even if we give you 2 bodyguards today, if someone wants you dead, they'll probably kill you. But why should they want you dead in the first place?